In this video, we will be showing you how to customize your blog. So we will be customizing your single blog post page, your archive page, and helping you to create a sidebar. We'll also show you all the little things you should enable and disable to help improve your website speed and help your blog to be ready for search so that you can increase your traffic and your blog revenue. Now, if you haven't already, in our previous video, we showed you how to create your first blog post and get it SEO ready. Now, I highly recommend you check out that video because we went through line item by line item, creating that blog post, getting into image optimizations, heading, using an SEO plugin, which in this case, we have been using Yoast. We get into all those details in that previous video. So I highly recommend you check that out because now when I share my screen, we will also have some filler blog posts in there as well. So these are just lorem ipsum posts just to create a series of posts for customization purposes. So this is the homepage of our test blog for this tutorial, Victoria Bakes. Now, Victoria Bakes isn't just a recipe and baking blog, because again, we're making it more about our character or person, Victoria, who is also interested in journaling, who's also into crocheting, and the whole thing tying baking and all her hobbies and interests is mental health. So there's a mental health category as well. Now, like I mentioned, this is just a lorem ipsum filled blog post. So we have a crochet post. We also have how Notion helps me stay sane, which this is a mental health post. There's a journaling prompts post. We have another crochet here, and we have recipes, which by the way, I made these recipes. Okay, these are original images, not stock photography, because again, as we've shared in previous videos in this course, we are really leaning into original photography, not perfection, because we are future-proofing our blogs in the age of AI. So as you can see, this is the blog we have created thus far with zero customization. Now, if you are happy with this look, which by the way, I love this, and we are thinking we should start this blog for real, it is okay to leave it just as is. So if you've been watching a WordPress tutorial thus far, you saw how we created the back end. You saw that we created a menu as well, where you can now click cake recipes, which is a category within the blogs. So if you've been following along, now you understand how we are here, and this is the current website look. Now, I will say, if you click on a single blog post, you will have a featured image at the top and then the blog post image. Personally, I am not a fan of this look. So we are going to get into the blog post and we are going to customize it. So again, we are going to turn on and off some features to set your blog up for success. And we're also going to customize it to get it a little bit more aesthetic. So today we are going to customize this single blog post page. We are also going to customize our categories and AKA archives page. We're going to create a sidebar and more. So now I'm going to pass over to Francesca and she's going to show you how we are going to customize our blog.
Okay, so picking up where Victoria left off, we are on the single blog post. So you want to make sure that you have that just so that you can kind of see as you're clicking things on and off, you can see how it looks. So from that post, you're going to click at the very top, the link that says customize on the toolbar. And once you do that, it will open the customizer from Cadence and you will have some features on the left-hand side, but you will still be able to see your blog post on the right-hand side. So where we're going to go into is the posts and pages layout. And then for this particular one, we're going into the single post layout. Now, the first thing I'm going to get rid of right now is that featured image at the top. And for that, you're going to scroll about halfway down on the left-hand side settings, and it says show featured image. You will uncheck that setting. Now, as you can see, it's brought everything up. So now let's go back to the top and I will show you two styles that you can use. Both of them can be fine as well. The way it is right now, it is using the post title layout that is just simple in content, but you can also show it as above content. If you choose to do that, this is how it's going to look. So it will show the category for now. We can always enable more things. It will show the whole post title, your meta information. Basically, you can add a couple more things and you can, of course, change the color of this box at the top. So it's up to you if you choose to do it this way or have it in content, whichever one you prefer. For now, I'm going to leave it in content. Now, because you are using Cadence, you also have settings on how things look on desktop versus mobile, which is important. If you are looking at your site, you want to always make sure you're testing it from your mobile device, see how it looks and see if there's anything that you want to change. So for example, if you feel like you want it centered on mobile only, you can go into the mobile right here and it will show you how that looks. And if you want that centered, it can look like that on mobile. So that's entirely up to you. You can switch between your desktop, the tablet, and mobile view, which is a great feature that you have with Cadence. For now, I'm leaving all of it the same. And now here we're getting into some of the title elements. So the title is this top portion right here of your single post. I do recommend you enable the breadcrumbs because that will give a path to follow from the person that lands just on this single post. When it comes to categories, you can have a single post in multiple categories, but there will be a main category, so that will be the path that follows. So for example, if this crochet was also in another category, there will be a second link next to crochet. But having this path means that you can follow the main placement of your blog post and look for more content. So that is always very important to have. And then when it comes to the meta description, you can actually expand this here, and you can just toggle on or off things as you want here. So for example, if you don't want to show the by Victoria because everything here is by Victoria, you could disable the author from here, and it's just going to show the date. Another thing you can do when it comes to the date is you can also show the latest update, and you can give that a label. So for example, last updated on, last updated on. So that means the post was originally published on this date and it was last updated on this date. You can have that displayed there as well. And if you wanted to show the comments on this section, you can also do that only if there's at least one comment. So if there's zero, it's not going to show it, but if there are comments, people can click straight to the comments as well. That is all optional in how you want things to display on your site. Now you do have the option of enabling the excerpt, which I don't recommend when you're doing an in content, but if you were to do the above content, that might actually be of use to have the excerpt at the top. Now, if you are going to do that, as you can see here, things look a little bit wonky. So what you can do is just move them around. So for example, maybe you want the excerpt right under the title. You can simply drag that there, and we will get into modifying some of the other things there. But like I said before, I'm going to keep this without the excerpt and in content for the purposes of this particular blog. So now continuing on, the next thing is going to be choosing the post layout. And now I do recommend you enable a sidebar, because if you are going to eventually have ads on your site, the sidebar is a good place for ads to display as well. So I will actually choose the right sidebar setting and keep the default sidebar to sidebar 1. We will get into customizing what you can see over here on the right hand side after. Now for everything else, I would leave as is. There's just a couple more settings that would be beneficial for you to disable at the bottom of the post, which will help with the INP score in the Core Web Vitals. So as we get to the bottom of the post, there's a couple of things here that you can see. First is the post tags. Now for this post, we didn't include any tags, but if you were to use tags on the back end, it is recommended that you disable them from showing here. Now something else that you may want to enable is your author box. So if you choose to enable the author box, that means it's going to display the information that you set up in the user settings for the user of WordPress. And you can go in there and add your image, write a short bio. So if you choose to do that, you can add that in here. You can have that centered, you can have that normal. So you can play with that. And again, this will all be edited from the user settings, not from here. So it's entirely up to you if you want this to display or not. I feel like it's not needed because the sidebar is there and it will already have your image. So I'm going to keep that off. And then the next couple of things I will disable are the post navigation, which as you can see when I toggle in on or off, it's this previous and next blog post. So this is just adding more links for the Google web crawler to go through, which are not needed for performance and will actually hurt your INP score as well. So I'm going to keep that disabled. And then the last thing that I do recommend disabling is the show related posts. Now this is just the WordPress algorithm recommending blog posts, which usually don't have a lot to do. And there's a lot of moving parts to this feature as well. So for INP performance of your page of that particular blog post, it is recommended that you don't show this and you actually interlink inside of the blog post the things that you specifically want people to access. And we will get into interlinking strategically in another video. So for now, I'm going to disable that as well. And we're going to keep the comments at the bottom for sure. So with that, everything is now fully edited for the single blog post. We've got our information at the very top, all of the meta description, but also the easy navigation for someone that just landed on that blog post to get to more content, as well as your image that you selected and you inserted with all of the text. So we're going to click publish on that. And then the next thing we're going to do is edit this sidebar right here. So in order to do that, we will hit back and then go to widgets. And already we have the sidebar 1 by default, which is the one that we selected already. If you click into that, you will see the blocks of the sidebar that we actually see real time on this blog post. So we're going to delete everything that is currently there and we'll just add things as needed. So the first thing I'm going to delete is the search bar. I'm going to click the search bar itself and it turns into this block. Click on the 3 dots right here and click delete. I'm going to do the same for the next one. click on it, the three dots, and click delete, and click on this one, three dots, and click delete. So now as you can see, there's nothing on the sidebar, and we're going to start building this out. We'll click on this plus sign, which is to add a block. So if we click on that, it works the same as the single blog post that we worked on in the previous video. You will then add the image as the first one. If it doesn't show the image here, you can simply use the search function and look for image. And something else that I want to make sure that you're doing is you're choosing the blocks that are black versus the ones that are blue. The blue blocks are actually Cadence blocks from the Cadence Blocks plugin. So we want to make sure for these kinds of things, for the blog post, for your sidebar, that we are using only the ones that are regular WordPress blocks, unless there's something very specific that you need, and those features are only available with a Cadence block. So we're going to try to keep it as WordPress basic as possible. Now here would be where you would add your image, which is kind of why I left the author box disabled. So this will be your main image that's going to show up on every single page, and that could also be something you use on your about page. So if you haven't uploaded that yet, you would go into upload. In this case, I already have that uploaded, so I'm going to go into the media library and choose from what is already uploaded on the page. And we did go into all of the ways that you do image optimization before uploading in our previous video, where we talked about the single blog post and SEO and optimization. So I'm going to click on media library, and then I'm going to choose the image that is actually from our about page, and then click select. Now, as you can see, that's adding that right here. And for now, that is all we're doing. Then we go into the next block, which is going to be a text block. So it's add a block and then go to paragraph. So think of this as your tagline. And we do have something prepared here that I am just going to paste in. So as you can see now, the text is showing right here. And I would make sure that I center that text. I feel like that can look better. And I will just add a little welcome text right before that. So now it has the welcome, the name. I'm going to make that bold. And then it gives them a quick tagline of who you are and what basically this blog is all about. So now this text is fully done. And the only thing that I recommend that you do from this sidebar is that you also link to your about page. So at the very end of this text, I'm going to just simply add more text that says learn more about me. And then we will just select that text and click on this button at the top bar here that says link, which looks like a little paperclip. This will open up a new menu, and you can just paste in there the link to your about page and then click the submit. You can also hit enter, this little arrow, and now that is hyperlinked, as you can see here. So now that you've finished adding the link to your about page, the next thing we're going to do is add a separator line, so then we can add our next category in the sidebar. So to do that, we're going to click on add block, and then we're going to add the separator, which you can just search for a separator. And I recommend that you choose the one that is the regular WordPress, which again is black, versus the blue, which is the Cadence block. And I'm going to just simply click on that. It adds the line. Now, if you want that line to show a little bit wider, you can go into the three dots right here and then show more settings, which will give you a few design options. So you can actually make it wide by choosing wide line. And as you can see now, it's got the full line, which I do recommend you go with. And then you can also change the color. So right now it's showing black. If you click on the color, it will automatically give you your color palette for this website, which we set up in a separate video. So make sure you check that one out. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the lighter background, the gray, so that it's a little bit softer. And then click the back button. And then after adding your divider, you're going to add a heading for the latest post, which is the next thing we're going to be adding. So to do that, we're going to again click on add block. We're going to search for our heading block, which again, we're going to use the black one so that it's not a Cadence one. And then we're going to type latest posts. And I'm just going to center that. And then we're going to get into adding the latest blog post. So to do that, again, we're going to click add block. And then we're going to search for latest post, which is, again, this black one right here. We're not using the Cadence one, which is the blue one. So we're keeping everything very simple. And now you're going to have to start with a list. So we're going to give this a little bit more design. So the first thing you're going to do is switch it from a list view to a grid view, which is this button right here that looks like a little window. So now that you have it as a grid view, we're going to click on the three dots and go into show more settings. So now from here, the first thing you're going to check is display featured image. And now we're going to scroll that down and then add link to feature image. So that image is also linked. And then you're going to go all the way down. You're going to make sure that columns is set to 2 and number of items is set to 4. Now we're going to scroll all the way to the top and go to this styles portion of the settings. And the only thing that we're going to do is click in here to change the size of the font. Now in this case, I'm going to click on the small font, which is just this S right here, and that automatically changes it. And I'm going to go ahead and click publish because that sidebar is pretty much done with how we're going to have it for now. It's basic, but it has everything that you need for now. And I'm going to click the X out of here so we can see how that blog post is looking right now. So as you can see, you have your sidebar, you have your main blog post, and your comments at the bottom. So now the last thing we're going to do in here is edit your archive and how that looks. So in order to see that, we're going to go into the cake recipes, which is one of our categories. And this is how it's looking right now. Now you may like it the way it's showing, but if you wanted to change a couple of things around, I just want to show you where those settings are. So again, from this page, you're going to click in the customizer at the very top and then go to post pages layout. Now you're going to go into the archive layout. So for the category archives, I do recommend that you keep the above content option. So we did talk about the in content for the blog post, which is what I recommend. But for the categories, it is good to keep it with the above content. As you can see, it gives you the title of the category plus that description that we added for SEO purposes, which we do want to make sure that that is on the page so that is able to be read by all of the search engines. Now, as you scroll down here, you can also add the breadcrumbs, which is important once you get into subcategories. So I'm going to go ahead and enable the breadcrumbs as well, so that once you do get deeper into your blogging journey and you have subcategories, that's going to come in handy. And then if you keep scrolling down, you also have options of adding that sidebar that we just created to your category pages. So if you wanted to do that, you can also do that by simply selecting that right sidebar right here. And now that has your sidebar on the category page as well. Now, if you are going to add the sidebar, you do need to change how many posts are displayed on here. And then to do that, you simply scroll back down and you switch how many post archive columns are in this page. So if you're using the sidebar, don't use more than 2 columns so that it looks a little bit cleaner. Otherwise, if you don't want to use the sidebar, you can keep it at 3. So that is entirely optional how you want to do it. You can change as well. Left here are how much information is showing for every single one of these blog posts. As you can see, that removes the read more text. I'm also going to disable the excerpt, and I'm going to go into the meta description and disable the author because there is only one author on this blog, and we have Victoria on the sidebar. So everybody knows that these are Victoria's posts. So that is pretty much it. Again, you can keep this a little bit different. You can add the sidebar, remove the sidebar, entirely up to you, and just play with how many columns show up as well. And then just click publish. And now you're basically done. Again, you can click the X. So you X out of it and you can see how this is looking actually live on your site.
So there you have it. We have your blog post page, your archive, and we even created a sidebar too. So that's your blog customized. In the next video, we are going to share how you can customize your pages. We're going to work on a home page, an about page, a contact page, and we're going to create a dedicated blog page. I know you've seen your blog post being displayed right now. However, there is a way to have a dedicated blog post page separate from your home page. So be sure to check that video out, because also following that video, we will get into keyword research for beginners. And fun fact, the way we are going to share keyword research with you is absolutely free, no tools or software needed. So that's a video you won't want to miss. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.